We're on passage 3. It's a research passage. For research, remember, you are looking around the playground, just looking at the variables of the studies, how the information is presented. Think probably 30 seconds to get to the questions. So for this passage, we have they're looking at an object from above to see the Coriolis effect. If experiment 1, they perform 5 trials at different latitudes, looks like. Experiment 2, 5 trials each at the same latitude. And experiment 3, 5 trials. They're trying to get the, the speed was adjusted till they had determined the minimum launch required for the disc just to avoid colliding. So you don't have to deeply understand it. Just know what the variables are and where to find the information. Question 14 is a suppose question. Suppose if Y questions. That's just your key that you know you're going to have to add some information or do some critical thinking. So we're looking at experiment 2. The students had launched the ball at a speed of 33 meters per second. The ball's MOD at this speed would most likely have been. So 33 is going to be between 30 and 35, which means it's going to be between 147 and 172. So your answer has to be H. Pretty easy question. According to the results of experiment 1, so put your finger on experiment 1, as the latitude increased, so we're increasing, the MOD did what? It also increased. So as one goes up, the other one goes up, so your answer has to be B, increased only. Again, pretty easy question. Based on the results of experiment 3, so finger on experiment 3, which the following graphs shows the relationship between latitude and speeds. This is similar to the last question. As latitude goes up, minimum speed goes up. So as one increases, the other increases. Only one chart shows that, which is J. You could also plot each data point if you needed. So at 15 latitude, the minimum speed should be about 9. So 15, 9, 75 at about 35. So you could plot the points if you needed to, but your answer is J. This is a critical thinking question as well. The students made certain to use the same ball in both experiments. The students did this to ensure that the ball's MOD would be. So they're varying latitude and they're varying speed, but they're not looking at shape or mass. Nowhere in there does it talk about shape or mass. So the answer has to be A. They are looking at launch speed and latitude, and it's definitely not the same for each trial. You can see that. That one's easy to eliminate. They're not trying to look at shape or mass. They're looking at speed or latitude. That's why it's different. So your answer has to be A. Based on the results of experiment 2, so finger on experiment 2, by how many millimeters did the ball's MOD decrease when the launch speed was increased from 15 to 20? So we're going from 15 to 20, but that gives it in centimeters. So there's a little bit of knowledge in this question. You have to know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. And then when we go from 3.44 to 2.58, subtract that, you get 0.86 times 10 is 8.6. Probably even if you didn't know this knowledge, if you had subtracted those two and got 0.86, you could have rationalized that it was J even without that knowledge. It's the only one that really works. So J is your answer. This question, we have another suppose question. Suppose if Y question. You have to think about it. Experiment 1, so put your finger on experiment 1. A trial had been performed in which a ball had been launched at a speed of 25 meters per second at 45 degrees south latitude. This trial would most likely have resulted in the ball deflecting to these. So in the reading, it tells us if it's in the south, the left of the expected path in the southern hemisphere, so it's going to go left. So we know it has to be C or D, so we can eliminate A and B. And if it's 45 degrees, that's going to be 2.06 MOD, so your answer has to be C. Okay, this one's a little bit tricky. We're looking at experiment 3, and it says, which of the statements best summarizes the procedures? The students repeatedly adjusted the launch speed or the latitude. So they performed 5 trials at different latitudes, but they didn't repeatedly adjust the latitude. What they did was they adjusted the speed. So we can eliminate the ones that have latitude in them for adjustments. They're performing those again, but they're not adjusting the latitude. And they want the disc to just miss each other. So it was slightly larger than 2 centimeters. Just avoid colliding. So your answer has to be F. Again, that's a little bit of a tricky one.